Welcome to the Lose Weight, Live Life podcast. If you're a female professional or entrepreneur who would do anything to lose weight, yet finds it impossible to stick to a diet, to eat less, or just what you think you should, this podcast is for you. I am your host, certified life and weight coach, Claire McKenzie. Listen in to learn how to stop overeating, lose weight for the last time, and create a relationship with food and yourself that you love, all without diet deprivation and self-sabotage. Hi everyone, and a very warm welcome to episode number 28. How are you doing? The sun's shining right now, so I'm doing okay. I can't wait for spring to appear this year. I'm going to really appreciate the dawn chorus, the shiny new grass, the buds on the trees, baby rabbits, baby lambs, all the things. I'm just so looking forward to them. Anyway, back to reality. Right now, I will settle for a mostly blue sky and some rains of sunshine. Now, before I begin, just a quick reminder that if you are new to this podcast or you've not listened for a while, please do subscribe so that the episodes appear for you every Friday morning. Secondly, if you like this podcast enough to listen to more than one episode, then I would be ever so grateful if you could give me a review and a star rating. If you listen on Apple Podcasts, just scroll down the page and the option to rate and review is right there. I was quite bemused to see the other day that I had given myself a 2-star rating. I think I must have been trying to figure out how to rate and review when I launched the podcast last year, and obviously wasn't concentrating and gave myself just 2 stars. Oh well, not to worry. Okay, so next I just want to let you know that this episode is dropping ahead of Valentine's weekend. And whilst I'm sure you're aware that it's Valentine's, well, if you're anything like me, you're making the most of every special occasion right now to try and differentiate one weekend from the next. So you may be aware that it's Valentine's, but what you may not be aware of is that the 13th of February is the much lesser known day, the International Day of Self-Love. Now, I want to be clear, I'm a massive advocate for loving and appreciating oneself on any day of the year. But this weekend feels like a good opportunity to raise awareness of the positive impact of self-appreciation, self-love, and self-care. And because I want to encourage women and girls everywhere, in fact men too, to take a moment and acknowledge and appreciate themselves, I'm encouraging you to declare and share and raise money along the way for charity. So for every listener who posts a photo of themselves or of an activity that represents self-care to them, on your social channel and tags either Claire McKenzie UK, that's my Instagram tag, or tags me on Facebook with @TheBestYouCoach. For everybody who tags and shares a post, I will donate to the UK charity Beat Eating Disorders. I've set up a fundraising page with them, and so for everybody that takes a photograph, shares it and tags me on either Instagram or Facebook, then I will be making a donation to UK charity Beat Eating Disorders on your behalf. One more thing before I talk about what I'm going to talk about today. It's all connected though, there's a theme here. One more thing is that I am running a workshop which will be an in-depth deep dive into helping you improve your relationship with yourself at 7 p.m. on Thursday the 25th of February. Tickets are going to be just £20 and I'm going to donate 20% of all ticket sales to the Beat Eating Disorders UK charity. Now you can find out all the details at www.thebestyou.coach/self-love. But I just want you to know right now, all the details are there, but I want you to know right now that as a part of that workshop, it's not just a sort of a class where you sort of passively listen. I'm going to be taking you through all of the worksheets that I use in both my One Life Academy and my mastermind. So you're going to have a workbook and I'm going to take you through those worksheets so that you will be starting right away applying the tools and the skills that I teach you to help you learn how to appreciate yourself more, help you improve your relationship with your body. Essentially, you're going to have an opportunity to do all of the work that is going to really, really help you feel like you really are loving and appreciating yourself. As I said, when you enroll, you're going to get the workbook. You'll also get access to the replay. So if you can't make it live, obviously do please make it live if you can. But if you can't make it live, then you will be able to catch up. So all the details at www.thebestyou.coach/self-love. Okay, I'll get on with the main part of the podcast now. And so today, as you will have gathered by now, we are talking all about the relationship you have with yourself. Now, the relationship you have with yourself simply comprises things that you think about yourself. If you think loving, respectful thoughts, you will have a loving and respectful relationship with yourself. If you think judgmental thoughts about yourself, you will be more likely to feel frustration with yourself or maybe even shame. So what do I mean when I talk about loving yourself first? Now, sometimes I do think that all this talk of loving ourselves first isn't very British. I think it's a bit self-indulgent, a bit embarrassing, and there's a part of me that's saying just get on with it, whatever it is. And yet I also know firsthand the negative impact self-judgment, self-criticism, self-disgust, self-hate even. I know the negative impact feeling those emotions has. And there's no upside to them at all. Seriously, no upside to the judgmental and sometimes downright harsh and cruel thoughts we have about ourselves. Now, when I think of loving myself first, it's not about having an attitude of loving myself more than anyone else. Far from it. It's about having an attitude of knowing that I am 100% responsible for my own emotional and practical needs, that it's up to me to take care of me, and that when I take care of myself first, I can show up as the person that I want to be for others, for my family, for my work, for my community. To me, loving myself first is an inner acceptance and almost a gentle toughness of knowing that we have our own backs. It's knowing that I'm prepared to be my own best friend. It's knowing that I can be gentle and patient with myself as well as persistent and resilient. Loving ourselves first is being our own best supporter, a cheerleader of ourselves and our own best protector. It's believing that when we love ourselves first, we can shine in such a way that we illuminate others, not putting them in the shadows. Loving ourselves first consists of the magic trio of thinking loving thoughts, feeling loving feelings, whether they are self-love, self-acceptance, self-appreciation, for example, and also doing acts of self-care. Loving yourself first looks like you thinking thoughts like, it's worth making time to create that delicious, healthy and nourishing lunch for me. When you think that way, you will feel deserving. And when you feel deserving, it's easy to create and eat the healthy lunch. And then, of course, you feel even better and it becomes a self-perpetuating cycle. Another way you may think about it is you may think something along the lines of, I'm worth the investment of whatever it is, whether it's the online exercise program, the expensive herbal tea bags, that's what I'm into at the moment. When you invest in yourself, you feel worthy. When you take the exercise, you appreciate the expensive tea bags because they're giving you comfort and hydration. You feel better. And again, the self-perpetuating cycle continues. In this context, loving yourself first is prioritizing yourself, whether it's time, money, or putting yourself ahead of others in terms of where you simply put your focus. When you don't love yourself first, when you prioritize others' needs continually ahead of your own, you are more likely to find yourself overeating to compensate for the fact that you are not meeting your own needs. When you don't give yourself what you need, what you want, you may look for it, whether it's comfort, pleasure, or reward, in the bottom of the biscuit barrel. Now, do you know, as I was thinking, I never had a biscuit barrel. I don't buy biscuits now, but before I did, they would never have made it into the biscuit barrel or stayed in there long enough to warrant owning one. So loving yourself first is about you making yourself a priority so that you can be responsible for your physical and emotional needs and be in optimal mental and physical well-being. And it's your responsibility to do that for you. Don't ask for permission. Don't wait for someone to tell you it's okay. Start taking care of you now, today. Loving yourself first also has another very important meaning for me and my clients. Loving yourself first is what I tell my clients to do when I notice that they're wanting to lose weight so that they can feel better about themselves. When you love yourself first, you love the work in progress, that is you, instead of chasing the you of your perfectionist fantasies. This means that if you want to lose weight or tone up your body, you love your body now rather than believing you need to change it, and you want to make the changes not so that you can feel better about yourself or love yourself more, but so that you will be healthier, stronger, fitter, and more energized. Loving yourself first is a behavior of unconditional self-love. It is having an amazing relationship with yourself. It's a commitment to thinking loving thoughts about yourself, as I said earlier. For me, on my weight loss journey, a key part of loving myself first was about me forgiving myself for having failed at losing weight so many times before. It was about forgiving myself for being so incapable of just not overeating. Loving myself first meant shifting out of intense self-criticism, even hatred of myself, for not being better, and allowing it to be okay that I hadn't up to that point figured out how to lose my weight yet. And it may sound easy in theory, but often it seems so difficult. And that's because our brains are conditioned to look for the negative and to judge. Our brain thinks it's protecting us from future judgment and failure, but it's only creating more judgment and negative emotion, not protecting us from it. When we spend so much of our brain energy judging ourselves, we have very little energy left to love ourselves. One way to stop judging ourselves is to be curious about our thoughts about ourselves. When we're curious, we're a step closer to loving ourselves as perfectly imperfect. When we remember there is nothing we need to be or do to be more worthy of love, that we are 100% lovable exactly as we are, it becomes easier to love ourselves first, before we lose the weight, before we get to a certain number on the scales, before we get to a certain dress size. Many women who seek out to create a relationship with food and themselves that they love start out not liking themselves very much. In fact, sadly, it's not unusual for women to share with me that they feel utterly disgusted with themselves. And sometimes women feel this disgust because of what they think about their physical body, and other times it's because they've not managed to lose the weight or maintain their weight on a previous weight loss attempt, and they judge themselves for that. And as I said earlier, that's exactly what I did. But being mean to yourself is not useful in driving you to lose weight, nor is it useful in driving you to improve any aspect of yourself. And mean girl thinking isn't just a behaviour reserved for those with a weight problem. Mean girl thinking sits in the recesses of the brains of most females. And we don't start this cycle of critical thinking intentionally. In fact, we don't even realise we're doing it. And then even when we do discover our mean girl thinking patterns, we can be fearful of letting go of them in case we accept ourselves as we are. We're fearful that accepting ourselves as we are will mean we don't ever stop overeating and lose weight. We want to escape our own unhappiness of who we are being by believing it's possible to be better or slimmer or fitter. And when we've been trying to get there through being mean to ourselves, we're reluctant to let go of that because we don't see that there is another way. Now again, these patterns, these behaviours of mean girl thinking and using self-criticism to drive us to be more, or in sometimes less, of who and what we want to be, are not reserved for women that want to lose weight. It's a trait that's commonly associated with all desires for self-improvement. Most of us grow up thinking we're not enough. Not slim enough, not smart enough, not pretty enough, not funny enough, or confident enough. We believe that if only we could fix ourselves, we would be better, slimmer, more accomplished, and subsequently happier. And we are wrong about this on so many levels. When you think kind, loving thoughts about yourself, you feel self-love and self-acceptance. You know you're worthy of your own love without conditions, achievement, or validation from others. When you approach weight loss with this mindset, it's far easier to make yourself a priority, to eat in a way that is healthy and nourishing, and to cut yourself some slack and not judge yourself when you fall into old patterns of eating. When you're not judging yourself for overeating, you can be curious about why you're doing it. And when you're curious, you're learning and discovering new things about yourself. Things that will make it easier for you to not overeat next time you're in that same situation. When you can learn to appreciate yourself as you are because of who you are on the inside, before or whilst you're losing the weight, not only will losing the weight be easier, maintaining your weight loss will be too. So take action towards loving yourself first. Decide what loving thoughts you want to think about and practice thinking them until they become your new truth, your new reality. So let's just cap what I've covered here. Number 1, loving yourself first consists of you thinking thoughts such as I deserve, I'm worth, I'm enough, that creating feelings of self-love, self-acceptance, and self-appreciation. And it's about when you feel these emotions, you taking better care of yourself. Number 2, loving yourself first looks like you making yourself a priority in your life. It looks like you prioritizing yourself in terms of how you spend your time, your money, and your attention. It's you understanding that what you appreciate appreciates, and that when you love yourself first and take the very best care of yourself, that you can ultimately give more to your family, friends, your work, and others, not less. Number 3 is the concept of loving yourself first, from the importance of learning how to think positively about yourself and your body as you are right now before you lose any weight, and also as a part of your ongoing weight loss journey, rather than assuming you will know how to like and love yourself when the weight comes off. Okay, just again, before I go, I just want to remind you of the couple of things that we have going on right now. So if you're listening to this the weekend the episode drops, so that's on the 12th, 13th or 14th of February, take the decision of declaring that you matter, that you love yourself first, and help raise funds for the UK charity Beat Eating Disorders by sharing and declaring a photograph of yourself or of an activity that represents self-care to you, and tag me on Instagram at Claire Mackenzie UK or on Facebook at The Best You Coach. Claire, by the way, is spelled without an E. I should have said that. So my spelling of Claire is Clair with no E on the end for the Instagram tag. And when you do share and declare that you love yourself first, I will make a donation to UK charity Beat Eating Disorders. And secondly, if you're listening to this before the 25th of February at 7 p.m, I am running a workshop, a Love Yourself First workshop. It is just £20. I'm going to be donating 20% of your payment to Beat Eating Disorders. And we are going to be diving deep into all things self-love, self-care, self-appreciation, looking at body image. And you are going to be applying the tools that I teach to you through a series of worksheets as a part of that course. So we're actually going to do that work together. Again, more information about this is at www.thebestyou.coach/self-love. I would love to see you there. Thank you and have a fantastic weekend. If you enjoyed listening to this podcast and are ready to live a more intentional life, lose weight as a part of that journey, and create a relationship with food and yourself that you love, then I would be honoured to be your coach. There are 2 ways that you can work with me. You can join my monthly membership program, My One Life Academy, that gives you self-paced learning, supported by twice-weekly live calls and a whole lot more. Or you can join the waiting list for my next 6-month Lose Weight, Live Life group coaching mastermind intensive. Go to www.thebestyou.coach/coaching to find out all the details.